when we say collective, we really mean it in the fullest sense of the word. I think everybody has a creative spirit that was strong in them before they joined the Flying Machine, and I think joining the Flying Machine, they saw an opportunity to nurture that. I do bring a lot of the songwriting, and I like to bring a hip hop rap feel to things, but you get in the room with all these really creative, interesting musicians, and what ends up coming out on the other side is something very interesting and unique and its own organism.
And kind of like to jump off of that, whereas Jeff says that he kind of brings the hip-hop sensibilities to the band, I think perhaps me and the other guitarist, who is not here today, but Jules.
Shouts to Jules.
We kind of bring the more, I guess, a little bit more of the hard-edged sound to the band. We both come from a background of playing a lot of punk rock music, diving in and out of hardcore and metal as well. And when we get together and songwrite, all of these things, kind of in a chaotic way, are mixed together. Mm-hmm. And what comes out is the Flying Machine.
Fusion!
Yeah, a lot of fusion of genres, for sure.
I really noticed that seeing your show, just like sitting there picking out all the different parts. It's like this music has so much to it. Mm-hmm. That I was like really impressed. It's a sound that you don't hear because it is such a collective of different styles, different genres, just kind of mashed together in this, in a bid not to sound overly poetic, beautiful chaos of such.
Since when have you tried not to sound overly poetic?
Wow, you're making me blush over here, dude. You totally got the point.
Hey, I'm just saying I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. So, if you don't mind me asking, how did you guys end up coming together?
Oh, that's a long story.
Yo, that's a bit of a long one, man.
We'll try to condense.
It all starts at SUNY Purchase College.
It's weird. All right, I'll try to condense this. All right, me and our last guitarist,
who still writes a lot of music for the band.
He does. He's a producer. He produces from Buffalo,
and then we turned it into our own thing.
We're just hanging out a lot, kind of both being sad boys going through a breakup, writing songs. All of a sudden, I had to go on the People's Court with Judge Marilyn Milian.
Really?
Yeah, I was working with some producers. They tried to sue me. They were some real scumbags. I said, no, thank you. They took me to small claims court. The People's Court found the case, thought it was hilarious, invited me on. I bring Adam, the guitarist, with me. We play a song, win the case. All of a sudden, we feel like, fuck it, we've got national TV traction. Let's keep going. Next thing we know, this Swedish guy gets, dumped off in Adam's living room.
That would be me, by the way.
By his girlfriend. And she's like, do something with him. He can't hear Sweden. He's lovely, but he has no friends.
Because I'm in a new country. I didn't know anyone but my girl. Stranger in a strange land.
She was friends with Adam as well. Anyway, Adam hears Chris, I guess, drunkenly singing to himself in the middle of the night, and Adam can't get to sleep. So he's like, you know what? I like this guy's voice. It's raw. It sounds like he's singing to the stars. Chris joins in. I get suspended from school for cheating on a test. I got kicked out of my dorm room. I was living with my best friends. Try to keep up, please. I'm sorry about this.
No, this is awesome, man. This is an awesome story.
I'm suspended. I get kicked out of my dorm, but I was living with my best friends, so I go back to visit them, and in my bed is Dallas Palumbo. Freaking.
That's right. Fresh into my time living at school and adjusting to life with three other dudes living in the same room, just becoming real friends. Start hearing legends of Jeffy Waves and his interesting stories. Then I hear he's coming to visit, and we hang out, and he drags me to Adam's house one night.
That's not how it happened.
All right.
Okay.
So, Dallas, actually, you're going to look better now. You're going to look better than before. Dallas was a really generous person for somebody who didn't know me and had only heard stories of how crazy I am. Lent me his keys, let me sleep in his bed, which used to be my bed. Literally, I woke up in the bed. Dallas was sitting in the chair, looking at me like he fell asleep in his chair and let me sleep in bed. Didn't wake me up. I don't know him.
I didn't even know.
I don't even know Dallas at the time. And I'm like completely taking advantage of his kindness. He lends me his key. I end up chilling at Adams. And instead of bringing him his key back like a decent human being, I'm like, you know what? Come get the key from me. I'm hanging out at my friend's apartment. And through. And we're jamming on some songs. And he looks at the drum set and goes, Jay, you mind if I play? And he played and he could play. And Adam was like, yo, bring him in. So then the four of us, fast forward 5 years, some crazy, hiatuses taken musically. We end up meeting Jules and Karen, who are the
guitarist and keyboard player, respectively. I mean, they kind of made it into the band through various friends, hanging out around the same people.
The very second time I ever met Karen, he played a show with us. Like the first show the Flying Machine had played
in probably
2 years.
2 years,
because we took like a nice little chunky break. And then we were like, hey, there's a show coming together. We have a slot. Let's do Flying Machine music. And let's bring it back. But we had no bassist. And I was playing another show with Karen the same day. And he came through with me. Was at the practice the same day. We played the show. And to this day, he's been playing bass on the keys as he also plays the keyboard, just like perfectly in sync with us, and also does backup singing. So he's an incredible musician.
He really is an incredible musician. Yeah, he levels the band in a very, very well needed way.
And then as far as Jules, he joined the band when I was just like at a show randomly. I was actually there because I was trying to meet up with a girl who worked close by. Very random. But I ended up at the show, and they have a big time slot, and this person's making live beats. And Jules is kind of up there just like soloing over the beats, and I asked if I can rap. And I rap, and while I was rapping, I noticed Jules was copying my rhythms with his leads. And we started like playing rhythms to each other. I invite him through to a jam session, and he ends up jamming. And Jules was one of those dudes. It was funny. As soon as everybody met Jules, they found like something else about him that they really liked. He's just he came in, and it was like he'd been our friend the whole time. And I think with Karen, it took a little bit longer to warm up, but I think Kay's a really brilliant, interesting person for a lot of other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And then from there, I mean, playing gigs around the city, trying to perfect our sound a little bit. We started recording the EP earlier this summer with the help of a friend of mine who came over from Sweden.
Yo, shouts to Emil.
Shout outs to him as well for, bearing with us. And
we recorded for 5 days straight in my basement. And we made some really heartfelt tracks. Like, I guess in like the older style of recording, they wanted to be like everybody is playing at the same time to get that unified feel, like that classic feel. That's what we have on the track. Luckily enough, like especially in Chill, you get like the sound of the basement is what he said he was going for.
Yeah, which I think really translated very well.
And he's just like another member of the band. The way he affected those tracks, he really gave it like we put all the food on the plate, and then he like made a really, really nice, colorful, artistic arrangement with the palettes.
And I think in a lot of ways what bleeds into that is, and why we choose to append the name Collective to the Flying Machine, is because that trajectory has happened from the beginning and still continues to happen. That when someone is able to bring their own unique sensibility, whether it be recording things, playing the guitar, rapping. If someone can contribute something that fits, we try to incorporate it. And that was kind of the philosophy from the start, and it has continued to this day.